Hello, I'm Manisha Tani, and I'm a solutions architect from AWS. In this session, you'll learn all about GitOps and how it transformed our insurance customer, Auto & General, to achieve faster deployment with GitOps. You'll see an end-to-end demo of what a real GitOps workflow looks like, and you'll learn how you can get started in your very own GitOps journey. Prior to this role, I used to be a cloud engineer. Another app that just got thrown over the fence. This used to happen quite a lot. A team pushes out a change in the application, then it breaks the infrastructure, then the app gets handed to the platform team, and then you get called at 2 a.m. in the morning with an alert on your phone, and you or your team are the only group of people that can fix the problem. One of the foundational elements in DevOps that enables speed and consistency of software delivery is being able to deploy infrastructure consistently and reliably over time and across teams. Many organizations rely on manual processes or scripting for environment provisioning and configuration, making it difficult to be consistent, have a single source of truth, and detect and remediate infrastructure provisioning errors like when you get called at 2 a.m. in the morning. You need ways to consistently automate infrastructure provisioning and configuration, manage your infrastructure lifecycle, and share best practices throughout your organization. So how do we create a consistent experience for automating your resources? Infrastructure as code enables organizations to define their desired infrastructure using a configuration file or code and programmatically create it to ensure consistency and repeatability. With infrastructure as code, you can manage the lifecycle of resources. You can host infrastructure definitions in version-controlled repositories, creating a single source of truth, and the capability to share and enforce best practices across your teams. You also have the capability to roll back changes to an earlier version. Changes to definition files can take advantage of continuous integration and continuous delivery or deployment, or CI/CD, in sync with application code to keep environments such as development, test, and production synchronized with infrastructure as code changes, which is similar to the application code deployed to those environments. We offer services to make it easy for you to leverage infrastructure as code on AWS. AWS CloudFormation lets you use YAML or JSON to define templates that model a collection of related AWS, third-party, and private resources, provision them quickly and consistently with support for drift detection and failure rollbacks, and manage them throughout the lifecycle. You'll see an upcoming demo by Auto & General around how they implemented automation and infrastructure as code with AWS CloudFormation. Alternatively, you can use AWS Cloud Development Kit, or CDK, to model your infrastructure in languages such as Python, Java, .NET, and TypeScript, which is familiar for developers. It provides high-level components called constructs in class libraries that pre-configure cloud resources and abstracts away thousands of lines of code into just a few lines of code. So we talked about some concepts around DevOps, but what about GitOps? What is GitOps? Well, GitOps is an approach where infrastructure is defined as code alongside application code, versioned in a Git repository, and then provisioned following the same pull request process as application software code. GitOps combines infrastructure as code with Git version control and automates CI/CD. So how does GitOps work with your existing continuous integration and continuous delivery cycles? Your continuous integration remains as is. What you'll be doing is extending continuous delivery to work with GitOps. We need to take care of operations for our infrastructure supporting our applications like scaling, updating to the latest version, which you'll see later in the demo. GitOps extends continuous delivery by monitoring for the latest changes to the source on Git. That means you can bring your existing DevOps practices to infrastructure by evolving DevOps to GitOps. But why even bother with GitOps? The practice of defining infrastructure as code is the key to realizing the benefits of moving to the cloud. However, defining infrastructure as code is just the beginning. Applications themselves solve complex problems and requires complex infrastructure. Managing change across these complex applications is the key to becoming successful with infrastructure as code. To do this, we apply DevOps best practices to infrastructure treating it the same way we treat application code. The most effective change management is achieved by companies that emphasize a high degree of testing and deployment automation, a high degree of automated risk mitigation, less rigid and much less manual approval processes, writing changes declaratively in code, and allowing employees more scope to influence change management, many of which are key to GitOps. Up next, stay tuned for Lani Lim, who is a DevOps engineer from Auto & General, who is one of our largest insurance customers in Australia. She'll demonstrate how they implemented GitOps through using AWS services such as AWS CloudFormation and Amazon EKS with GitLab.
Thanks, Mai. Hi, everyone. I'm Lani, and I'm DevOps engineer here in Auto & General. Being part of the DevOps team, our end goal is continuous in everything. This includes building, testing, deployment, monitoring, and feedback. As such, we needed the right tools that help us work more efficiently. Auto & General is a fast-growing company with strong values and beliefs. We have a culture of high performance with high integrity, which underpins everything we do, the way we interact with our customers, the community, and each other. We work together as one team to bring to life our purpose and achieve our vision to be Australia's best insurer. As an underwriter and insurer, millions of Australians look to us to protect them when they need it most. Our range of general insurance products protect customers on the road, at home, and on a holiday, with various products like car and motorcycle, as well as roadside assistance, home and contents, as well as our newer products like pet and travel. By using technology to drive innovation and keep costs low, we're offering dependable cover at a price that's hard to beat and challenging the market dominance of insurers in Australia. Budget Direct has had insurance solved for more than 3 million Australians. Our partners include iconic Australian brands such as ING Bank, Qantas, and Virgin Money. Canstar has awarded Budget Direct Insurer of the Year for 2022. This award compares both price and the functionality of insurance products over customers' journey. For example, from application to payment, service and cancellation, including claims and coverage. We're teaming up with our technology partners like AWS to achieve this for our customers. In 2020, Canstar awarded Budget Direct one of only 2 national awards for outstanding value of car insurance, and in the process, Budget Direct became the only brand in any financial services category to win a Canstar National Award 15 years in running. With our Auto & General One Team motto, we shape our business like it's our own. And we have a vision for today, tomorrow, and beyond. And this is why I love working here. Personally, I'm able to work with leading-edge technology projects that are cloud-native. It's also a safe place to voice my opinions on ways we can deliver better outcomes, whether it's leveraging technology or improving processes. We're also growing our DevOps team as we continue to grow our business. We're looking to deploy our applications faster, more reliably, and with more confidence than ever before. Our products and services generate a lot of demand, and at the same time, we needed to continue to go above and beyond for our customers. We now had a unique opportunity to scale our organization. We also had a challenge. How do we continue to provide award-winning cover for less and pass the savings back to our customers as we continue to scale and hire new technical staff to meet demand? You might have experienced this yourself recently, but it's been especially difficult to hire technically skilled resources, including DevOps and developers, to fill open roles. In the meantime, our team of DevOps engineers were still being woken up at 2 a.m. in the morning because we're the only ones that had visibility and access to the infrastructure. We had too many tools, like Jenkins and Bamboo, some even provisioned on-prem, that runs our infrastructure as code via CloudFormation and Ansible playbook that our DevOps engineers were familiar with. But we needed to take this one step further so that developers can take ownership of the application. So we had an idea. What if we moved towards a single source of truth and a familiar platform for developers, perhaps Git? It will take less time to ramp up their knowledge, and what if they could own the application alongside DevOps? What if we can alleviate pressure of DevOps engineers being the single point of failure. What if we could also share and enforce best practices across teams? Enter GitOps via GitLab to the rescue. But why did we choose GitOps? It's because as a DevOps team, we needed to prove that we are continuously improving our efficiency to provide outcomes for our customers. And how do we do that? With DORA metrics, as they are used by DevOps teams to measure their performance. We're aiming to be in the elite performer category, but when we first started, we were in between medium and low. And we believe that the GitOps approach will help us get there. Starting with deployment frequency, we are aiming for more frequent but smaller deployments. In addition to more visibility and automation with GitOps, we are re-architecting and decoupling our monolithic workloads so we can further enhance faster deployment frequency. Lead time for change is a measurement when an issue is open and closed. At this stage, we've integrated our Jira to GitLab and work in a 2-week sprint. As for the time restore service, having version control with GitOps allows us to roll back the changes quickly if we need to restore services. We can continue to reduce our change failure rate by adding more automated testing and guardrails in our deployment steps. In order to achieve our goals and making use of our existing resources and tooling, we needed a cloud-native platform to host GitLab runners. And the reason we chose AWS to host GitLab as part of our GitOps transformation. Being in the financial sector, we need to know our environment is aligned to AWS best practices and regulatory compliance. As such, we've implemented a well-architected landing zone across AWS organization, which allows us to separate business account, separate billing, logging, and security accounts for logical segregation. We were able to achieve granularity of security permission via IAM for different personas involved in the different projects. Our CI/CD platform needs to align to this architecture that will provision our core infrastructure as well as deploy application from the business accounts within AWS. We needed to evaluate the automation we have. While we use a lot of CloudFormation for infrastructure as code, the tools became highly complicated and not well maintained. We had an opportunity to simplify our tools as part of a DevOps lifecycle. After reviewing all the requirements, including authentication, security, setup and management, pipeline usage, integration capabilities, we end up picking GitLab software as a service with runners using Amazon EKS. We wanted to focus on building good automation instead of maintaining CI/CD tools. We've used a combination of Ansible Playbook, AWS CloudFormation, and EKCTL. This provisions the EKS cluster, including some role mapping setup, as well as service accounts and policy mapping within EKS. We chose a managed Kubernetes cluster with Amazon EKS to alleviate heavy lifting, because we don't have to worry about managing the clusters ourselves. Don't have to worry about backing up your etcd file, which is the key value pair of the cluster, installing or upgrading the control plane, as well as upgrading the certificates. It also integrates well with other Amazon services, such as IAM. Pods are able to assume roles, has support for ALB, as well as NLB annotation, and VPC for pod networking. It runs a control plane across the availability zone, which ensures high availability and scalability. So before I jump into the demo, I'd like to run through the high-level architecture of how we structure our GitLab runners. This is one of our EKS cluster that provisions the core services in AWS, which includes networking, logging, AWS account provisioning, IAM for deployment, service control policies, and security. It also includes the deployment account on where GitLab is actually provisioned. We have 4 Amazon EKS in total, 2 for core, 2 for workload, 1 for non-prod, and another 1 for prod. We've made use of Kubernetes namespaces per account that ensures clear separation between accounts. Taking a closer look into how this looks like across GitLab and Amazon EKS, you can see DevOps tools like Git, kubectl, and EKSCTL that's used in a local workstation can communicate with both AWS and GitLab.com. A Git push to the repository could trigger a pipeline run. The GitLab runner itself, which has been installed via Helm chart, polls GitLab.com if there are jobs that needed to be run. The master node within Amazon EKS essentially exposes the API that is the endpoint for authentication. It is responsible for scheduling deployment and managing the overall cluster. Nodes is where the pods are running, in this case, the GitLab runner pods. Kubernetes is a container orchestrator. The Docker registry itself can be run anywhere. For example, Amazon ECR, Docker Hub, JFrog Artifactory. You just need to configure it within GitLab. Now for the demo, I'll be updating one of our GitLab EKS that's used for our workload. I will be changing the node instance and the desired capacity through code, and then we'll look at AWS console and validating this change. So this is GitLab's web IDE where I can directly update the code in the UI. In this case, let's change the node instance type to large and the desired capacity to 3. Once I commit this, GitLab IDE will give you a diff of the change. In here, I'm adding the Jira ticket to this commit as well as what the change is all about. So after committing this into the develop branch, a pipeline will then be triggered within a minute. So let's click on this pipeline link. This is essentially a basic pipeline for this code. And in here, there's a dry run stage for non-prod. At this stage, it pulls all the variables required for the pipeline. The deploy stage is when it actually applies the change. We've added a manual step for the production workload just so we can validate things first before we apply it. But for the non-prod one, we just automatically trigger it. As you can see, the CloudFormation task has been triggered. And so if we go to AWS console, you will see in the event section that the capacity is going to be 4. This ensures that the services running within the EKS cluster will not be affected. Additional information of what's going on will also be seen at the status reason. In this case, it's doing a rolling update to add a new instance to the autoscaling group. Once a new event happens, you'll see this pop up on the top of the stack. And now in the parameter section, you'll see the instance type and capacity change related to the Git push we did earlier. Then, if we go to Amazon EKS, let's select the workload non-prod one. You'll see that there's 2 large instances. Now, if you hit refresh, there will be 3 with 1 not being ready. So if we go back to CloudFormation, let's look for the workload non-prod. And it's going to be at the bottom here with a status in update in progress. But since I'm impatient, I'll go back to the event section again, ensuring there's more events happening. If we hit refresh, it's finally updated. This means if we go back to Amazon EKS, the instances should have been updated. Perfect. There are 3 large instances. We just now have to validate the workloads that are running in there. They look all good to me. Now, going back to GitLab, now that non-prod updated successfully, I am confident that production will work as well. So let's just play this stage. So in here, you'll see similar events as we did for the non-prod workload. I've just fast-forwarded this demo and got some coffee. Okay, now that they're updated, you can see that the update complete in here. So if we go to Amazon EKS, you will see that there are 3 large instances. One of the nodes is just in progress of being decommissioned, but that's all good. So in summary, I applied the changes in GitLab where I changed the node instance type to large and the desired capacity to 3. This demonstrates the single source of truth in Git and automation with infrastructure as code, as you saw with the same changes easily applied to non-prod and then prod environment. As I mentioned earlier, our team runs in a 2-week sprint. And in a tradition of a sprint retro, if we ask the question, what could have we done differently in our journey to GitOps? It's don't try to boil the ocean. We started with this big idea of implementing GitOps across all developer teams in our organization as a one-fits-all. In hindsight, we should have gone with start small, build fast, and dream big. If we could have started from the beginning again, we would have started off with a smaller proof of concept per project. We would have involved stakeholders on a persona basis who is part of the project, like developers and product owners, to do some quick and focused testing to fail fast and fail early. After all, we're doing this to improve their day-to-day task. We found that we spent too much time planning this large implementation and didn't catch all the exceptions, which are quite unique to many projects that we do. Amazon EKS can also introduce some complexity. For example, we run out of pod IPs in one of our workload EKS that cannot be destroyed. Updating the subnet after the EKS is provisioned cannot be applied as per API limitation. We need a solution that can work long-term. So after doing some research and working closely with our AWS Enterprise on-ramp, we decided to upgrade the CNI, which is the container network interface, using the cluster, added pod subnets within our VPC, and then apply this in our automation. We're all continually learning as we onboard new projects in GitOps via GitLab. What's important is learn from your mistake, apply it to your next project. And if we ask ourselves, what went well? We now achieve faster, more frequent deployments, as we are now able to deploy an average of 7.9 deploys per day compared to 1 deploy every 2 weeks. We're able to provision all our shared services using GitLab, so changes can now be seen and audited as needed. And then tying this into our AWS well-architected environment, we've automated the onboarding and account bootstrapping as well. We've also automated the deployment of separate core network, logging, security, and deployment accounts, which contain shared and higher risk components. This allows us to have the same software development lifecycle governance across our key infrastructure as code as we do the application we run on top of it. We are now able to onboard developers into GitLab in minutes, instead of the days it took to get the right level of access into multiple tools. We're also starting to talk to our key stakeholders on having a proper GitOps via GitLab. This includes having automation standards that most development team can adhere to. So what's in store for us in the future? We're driven to continue being Australia's best insurer for years to come. As part of this journey, technology and our GitOps implementation plays a large role in the improvement of our claims process. We're continuing to improve so we can provide a customized and personal claims experience for our customers. We're collaborating with AWS to run training and certification sessions, as well as deep dive sessions to continuously improve our cloud capabilities and have more AWS certified staff to help innovate with new and exciting projects. So if you want to build the future of insurance with us as one team, we welcome you to join us on our journey of innovation at Auto in General. I will now hand over to Mai, who will tell you all about how to get started with modernizing in GitOps.
Thanks, Lani. It's great to hear that insurers such as Auto & General are leading the charge in modernizing to GitOps. How do you increase the pace of innovation, get more out of data, and build new ways to bring developers and cloud operations teams together like Auto & General did? I know many organizations can be challenged to find a balance between managing technology and building new applications and features to keep up with your customers' demands. Organizations need to modernize the way they build and operate applications. Modern applications are built with a combination of modular architecture patterns, serverless and managed operational models, and agile developer processes. Today, you learned about why GitOps is crucial to help your teams have faster, more frequent deployments with better security, reliability, and operational excellence. You heard from our customer, Auto & General, about their journey from DevOps to GitOps and the challenges they had to overcome with a demo of an end-to-end GitOps workflow powered by Amazon EKS and GitLab. If you want to start modernizing with GitOps, there are two major pathways. If you're already running containers on premises or thinking about moving applications to containers, you can move those workloads to managed AWS container services like Amazon EKS to simplify operations and reduce management overheads like orchestration and infrastructure provisioning. You can also use serverless technologies like AWS Lambda to complement your container workloads. Here are some resources for you to get started with GitOps. Make sure you check out Arc 5, Rollout Kubernetes for hundreds of enterprise workloads in ANZ Summit. We encourage you to get engaged with our training and certification content today. Auto & General have embarked on their AWS certification journey with rewards such as co-branded t-shirts that you saw Lani wearing today as an incentive for attending AWS training. Talk to our AWS account team to get started in your certification journey for your organization. You can start building your individual AWS cloud skills with Skill Builder. Skill Builder has free digital courses and you can learn more about containers, infrastructure as code, and DevOps concepts that we talked about today. Scan the QR codes on the screen to get started with your cloud skills training and certification. Before you go, we'd love to hear your feedback in our session survey. Thank you very much for listening. Go build and modernize on GitOps with containers.